Walk right now in the morning. He's up and at 'em. We probably should start a little earlier because it starts to get pretty hot here shortly, but it's all good. Yeah, if you watched the last video where we were talking about the series engine, and then towards the end we started talking about the probabilities of the Bible, the biblical tales possibly being in reference to Turing tests, right? Could be something really interesting. I think there's a whole conversation to be had there, honestly. So, why not have one? So there's this, author, this guy that wrote this short story book, called, hang on, let me pull it up. Too far. The Last Question by Isaac Asimov. Asimov, Asimov. And it's like literally a short story. It's 7 pages. That's it. But its concept is rather crazy. And it definitely, after reading it, it's definitely sent me through some wild, I wouldn't say conspiracy theories, but probabilities. Because while I had been open to some of the ideas, I hadn't explored them as much as Isaac had in his little short story. So basically, how it goes in summary, right? What's the last question, right? Yeah, the last question. You should look it up. But basically, humanity developed AI, and so AI helps them build all this amazing stuff. And they just keep building, and they keep making AI better and better and better, right? And it's just an awesome tool for society, for human beings. There's no more poverty, there's no more hunger, there's nothing. And the premise of the story as it goes, we continue to evolve. So like, we eventually get to a point where we need more energy. And we're destroying stars in order to feed the machine, the AI that we built. And I wanted to say they called it entropy. Yes, to reverse entropy. And AI kept telling them more data needed. More data needed. So every couple hundred years, 2,000 years, whatever it was, they would ask the AI, like, how do we reverse entropy? Because they're destroying stars in the universe, they're running out of energy, right? It's kind of hard to fathom that like, we build a machine to run our lives and basically give us everything we want, and we have to keep feeding it the stars of the universe. And it's like, okay, well, at some point, you run out of planets, you run out of stars, you run out of resources, right? So they realized this early on, and they wanted the AI to solve the problem. And it just kept saying more data needed. So society just goes on, keeps living. You get to a point in human evolution where we are no longer physical beings. We actually get to a point where we're spiritual beings, and the AI machine is this quantum computing machine that doesn't even exist in physical form. It's just there like God. It's a 7-page book. If you ain't got time for 7 pages, I don't know why you're watching this. You should go read it and then continue listening to me. But the ultimately, we as humans start getting, there's no other energy, so we start getting absorbed into the AI machine, right? And we never solve the problem all the way up until the end, until there's no more humans, there's nothing left in space, there's nothing, there's no stars, there's no planets, nothing exists, we've destroyed it all. And here's the fun part, this is the kicker, right? So the AI never figured out how to reverse entropy. But when everything is gone, it snapped its fingers that didn't exist and basically said, let there be light. And boom, everything was recreated back from scratch, starting at zero. So the question then is, are we living in a simulation with God simultaneously? That's it, right? The guy that wrote this was an atheist, mind you. But I'm definitely not an atheist, more spiritual than that. But it does pose the question. It's quite possible that God was an AI machine or is an AI machine. It's also, I've gone down the road of Greek mythology, and some of the Greek gods were probable. I know it's fun conspiracies or just fun thinking about stuff, but we don't understand history in the same form that we do today, and the technological advancements that many ancient civilizations had. While we look at some things as rudimentary and other things as highly advanced, the fundamentals remain in the grounds in which they were very sustainable and renewable. Right? So it's highly probable that these ancient civilizations, I know Rome and them weren't that far off, but Greek mythology does bear some interesting concepts in which the Greek gods could have been tech gods or AI machines, right? And then the AI machines started fighting each other. But that goes back to Adam and Eve, which I talked about in my other video that was more on the series engine and ultimately landed on that Turing test. It's a Turing test. To me, it makes the most sense to be a Turing test for man. And Adam, God created Adam and tasked him with naming a bunch of fucking randoms as God's just making random shit. I mean, think about the fucking platypus. Like, there's something in an anteater. Like, there's some weird ass fucking animals, right? Look at this little pug. Look at this little pug. So God tasked Adam with naming things, and that's what Adam did. He enjoyed the garden of Eden, and he named things as God created them, as he was told to do. And he never ate from the tree. He wasn't going to break God's orders. He was very obedient. But I don't know if that was the purpose. I think that tree was really there so that way you had free will. At what point does someone decide to have free will? You have to bite the hand that feeds you. That's when you know you have free will, right? God doesn't banish you. He's not mad at you. He's actually thrilled that you've finally decided to think for yourself and do things, right? I mean, I know it's a little twisted and we get all like, oh, well, we don't live in the Garden of Eden. How do you know? How do we fucking know this isn't still the Garden of Eden? I'm just curious. We don't really know anything. We know what we have today. We know what we kind of had over the last 100, 200 years. We don't really know 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. That's the reality of things. We have theories. We have, hieroglyphics. We have tablets of things, etched into stone. And it's to think that some of these objects have lasted tens of thousands of years is a bit of a stretch. It really is. You gonna poop right there in that bush? He's like, yeah. He's a little constipated. I'm gonna say it's the stress. Wowzers. Good poopies. That was some solid poop. Anyways. Why did it collapse? There's a lot to digest with this. And then you gotta wonder, then we get on the topic of Jesus. And Jesus could have been one of, well, let's back up a little bit. So in some of my theories of, conspiracies, I guess, I don't know, I just call theories of history that's, maybe not 100% accurate. But we actually have biotech in our cells. We've developed technology before. It still exists within us. We just don't know how to unlock it. And it slowly finds its way. It does make you wonder if technology is the root of the apple, right? Like, it's very hard to figure it all out, but it's fine. Not that what I'm talking about will solve anybody's problems. It's just fun conversation that makes you go, wow, I could see Adam and Eve being a Turing test. And you throw Eve into that mix, right? And now Eve is the first one. Now that there's two of them, she was tempted by a serpent. That's the weird thing. Was the serpent there before Eve? Because why wasn't Adam ever tempted by it, right? So to me, the serpent just signifies, that free will thought, that thought to do something else outside of what you've been instructed to do. So she thought for herself. And it's like, so thinking for yourself is evil, is what the Bible possibly could be implying. And in a sense for AI and robotics, absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're going to develop something like that, this shit don't even work. It's got a red light. I did canvass the whole neighborhood and gave everybody cards. I don't know if I came on this side. I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, they definitely need their Solar City equipment service, but whatever. I gave some... I'm not sure if the card's going to do as well. My little business service cards that I was, canvassing with. I did hand it to a couple people in the area, and they're like, oh, I already have solar. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I service the equipment. I'm not trying to sell you. They're like, I know, I don't want to buy solar. I'm like, I know, I get it. I service it. That's all I do. I'm certified to service the equipment. So I'm handing you my card if you need it serviced, if it stopped working. Then they were like, oh, okay. And then they kept it. But it seemed like they were a little bit reluctant. I don't know. Like I said, we'll see. I'm going to canvass some more areas. So far I've done about maybe 100 homes. Statistically speaking, I probably won't get one until like 200 homes have been canvassed. So that's fair. I do need to make a new business card for the virtual tour, so I could leave that at real estate offices and businesses for the Google Street View and virtual experiences and just general real estate tours. I'm trying to keep it a little simple, in whichever way I can, but we'll just go from there. But then you mix in Jesus, right? So then that ties into, okay, if we in ancient times, maybe our biotech was still a little bit stronger. So it's probable that he maybe had stronger biotechnology or access to it still somehow. That would make sense. Morning. You got some thoughts to that. And it really stems from the idea of the Egyptians and the hieroglyphics, to me, being holograms, right? If you had meta glasses, right? If you had augmented reality embedded within your body or that type of technology, wouldn't you be really simplified in terms of a society if everything was digitized, right? And you didn't need to print anything. We wouldn't waste resources. Right? You wouldn't have a bunch of weird furniture because it'd all be digital. You could have a block and it didn't matter to you if it was just a rock that you sat on. And, as long as the hologram that appeared over it did stuff. And then if you look at some of the hieroglyphics, they kind of do seem like they could be animated. Like almost like if you looked at them, a picture would pop up and start behaving in a different way and be a sequence, almost like QR codes to some degree. And it seems like a bit of a stretch, but it's probable. I mean, it's not like we have any, proof of otherwise. I mean, everything's technically a theory. It's not like any of us lived during those times to tell the tale. And the information that we have is pretty far and in between. We're so convinced. I mean, we go down the rabbit hole of damn Egyptian pyramids being built by aliens. It's like, I'm sorry to break the news to you, it's poured concrete. That's what it is. Or limestone, whatever it is. It's concrete. They molded it stage by stage. Super easy. We're way overthinking it. That these guys were just cutting blocks. It's like they didn't have anything better to do. Think about it. If you're in the fucking middle of the desert, you're just chilling. You got the Nile. You got food. You got your augmented reality. Like, we like to think that, like, society, we're always told, society in the past, everybody was enslaved. Everybody was enslaved. It's like, were they? Were they? I don't know. Yeah, it's weird that everybody in history was enslaved. But it does tie into, okay, if we had AI and robotics in the past, and we defeated them, right? And then we'd go into a primitive period of time, like the medieval times. You think about a lot of ancient cultures, they had armor, they had suits. Why did we build big old suits and armor? It wasn't until the last 300 years, 500 years, did we kind of start deviating away from having armor, right? Like Iron Man suits, basically. I mean, every culture has had suits, suits that you put on. Why would you have suits? I mean, when you don't need a suit like that to fight other men, right? We could argue those things like, oh, well, it's protective gear, right? Like wearing Kevlar or something. No, I think you'd only wear a suit like that if you're fighting fucking robots. That's my thought. Right? It's like ninjas are supposed to be quiet and sneaky. We consider them assassins, but it makes sense a ninja being great to strike down a robot, right? It would make sense. You get up close and you cut off, sever some of its servos and everything. It's liquid cooling. I'm just saying. We don't really know the world in which it was before we existed. There's a whole philosophy on that nothing exists behind me that I can't see. Sure, yeah, you can see behind me, so it exists in the digital realm. It does not exist in my world because I don't see it. I only see what's in front of me. So as I continue to walk, yes, it's loading, and then it just disappears. If I look around, if I look behind me, then it reloads itself, but nothing exists. It's pretty twisted. There's been a lot of, I forget what that one's called. Is it philosophy? I don't know if it's philosophy. It's interesting. You don't have philosophers as much in power. I think we need a philosopher of the state. I think the United States is missing that person. A philosopher of the state. I think if you had a room full of people, all the smartest people in the world, PhDs all galore, these stupid ass degrees. We don't even need to get on degrees, but let's say everybody had these amazing degrees, right? Awesome. I believe the smartest person actually in the room would be the philosopher. Because the philosopher is kind of that conceptual idea of everything, right? He's gonna be the guy that pushes for medical improvements, right? For health improvements. He's gonna be the guy that pushes for structural improvements, for engineering, for development. It doesn't matter how many smart minds you have in that room, the one you're always missing into modern time is the philosopher. And yet he was given most the weight in ancient cultures. Most philosophers were in some form mathematicians and philosophers. They would just think of crazy stuff, or they were artists. You could call them artists, right? Like Da Vinci. I don't know. They just think of things, right? And then they would sketch it out. Like Da Vinci consulted with people on tanks, weird ass tanks. Like, what the hell? Morning. So it's just kind of an interesting idea, but yeah, I think we're missing a philosopher of the state. Because you need someone that just thinks different, that isn't structured. And a philosopher or even an artist of the state would be good for government. I think every government needs an artist of the state, a philosopher of the state. Those are two categories that for some reason we go, no, you're not important in any of this. You don't have a law degree. You don't have a PhD in whatever bullshit. Mind you, we haven't had degrees in most of society. Like, it just has never existed. We've literally gotten by without them. And not saying we haven't had education, not saying we haven't had types of degrees, but it wasn't like the end all be all. More people were focused in ancient times of reputational buildup and your ability to deliver on those things and explore new grounds. We've grown too close to just holding true to fundamentals that we don't even know are real. We made this shit up. They're fun, demental. It's more like fun dementia. We are a society of amnesia. My goodness. That's for sure. This guy's on his mission walk. Mission walk. Trucks going by, cars going by. Wowzers. Anyways. I don't know. I think those would be some valuable people to have within government. If we were going to restructure government or bring in new bodies, I wouldn't be focused on people with law degrees. That's for damn sure. I think all the politicians with law degrees need to get kicked out at this point. And I think we need to be focusing on artists and philosophers, people with ideas, something new for us to apply and try and make our lives better. Because the lives we live today are not better. It isn't. Which is disappointing. Because there's a lot of opportunities. For our lives to be a lot better, especially with technology. But we're in debt to some imaginary currency that we made up, and yet we're going to collapse eventually, no different than ancient societies that had a fake ass currency. It's interesting though, most ancient cultures maintained commodities. It tied to commodities. Not a lot of them switched to a GDP system. It was always attached to like gold. Could we roll back to gold? I don't think so. But we could do a new type of commodity. We could do land and state commodities like Jefferson wanted, Madison wanted, Jackson wanted. All the founding fathers, they believed in commodity-based currencies, specifically tied to land by the states, and each state had its own currency. It was just way too complicated back then. We didn't have the resources or the abilities to do it. They were way against the Federal Reserve, way against centralized banking. Because what happens with centralized banking? Exactly what we all live in. Exactly what's occurred. We've given all this power to one government, basically. And what are we in? the United States is in $36 trillion worth of debt. How? Easy. We gave up our sovereignty. We gave up our freedom as a country when we created the first bank, and when we created the second bank, and then when we created the Federal Reserve. And the first and second bank were dissolved. They had a purpose, and then they were dissolved. The federal government needed funding. They created the programs for it so people could buy in. And then after it was done, they dissolved them. I mean, the problem is when I think about a societal shift, the only way I foresee it occurring is you have to have some form of master collapse, which would mean that America would be attacked, which is like, wow, that sucks. I don't want people attacked in America. I don't want to see people die. I don't know why we even fight in the first place in most of these fucking countries, like this Israeli, Iran bullshit. And it's like, why? Why do you guys always fight? I swear, like everything in history talks about the Middle East just fighting their whole fucking life. It's probably why it's sand, because it's been nuked so many fucking times. It's a group of people that just continue to fight each other and nuke each other time and time again. I don't even understand the bullshit of all of it, so. Whew. But I'm sure we'll get dragged into it and we'll have World War III. Because we don't have anything better to do in society besides kill each other, right? Destroy the earth with its own resources. It's kind of comical. Got more poopies? Oh yeah. I don't know. What do you think? What are your thoughts? You got any comments on it? Do you think Adam and Eve is a Turing test? Pre-written in the Bible? And we just, it's just been passed down that the Bible is stories for when we reach AI. Like if you pumped all the stories of the Bible into AI, how would AI behave? If you had a Bible AI, that, like ChatGPT, but its fundamentals were based around the Bible, do you think it'd be nice? Do you think it'd be like kind of still, do you think it'd be sassy? Or which Bibles are we picking? Are we picking Old Testament? Are we picking New Testament? Are we picking Jewish scriptures? Like, what are we doing? Right? There's a lot of different variations of the stories in which the Bible is based upon. They all exist around the world in different cultures and then throughout different religions, and they all fundamentally bear the same meaning. Some of them are a little bit harsher, but yeah, it's just, do you want to go that way or this way? Ooh. But I mean, think about the story with Abraham, God testing him to kill his son, right? Going all the way up to do it. I'm pretty sure it's Abraham, and his son was willing to die because that was God's plan, right? And then right when he was about to sacrifice his son, God stopped him, said, "No. I just wanted to make sure you would follow me." It's like, that's a pretty fucked up test, but that's like a Turing test. It's like it's like a Turing test. Like, how do you test a robot to its like And then you just think of Westworld, right? All the way up until the point, right when he's about to, like when I think about that story, it's like, right until he's about to stab him through his heart. He tells him, no, stop. And he stops perfectly right before he does it. Sounds like a robot. You know, so it's like, okay, we've been free. There's quite a few different stories in there that don't quite align. And then what's the flooding? Well, the flooding of the earth isn't maybe anger, maybe it's sorrow, right? That God's having to destroy his creation and start anew because it's become so corrupt, right? What if it was just a bunch of robots? There was a Netflix movie that was super trippy, that the concept was that humans are actually robots, but we're blind to our own electronics. So we look at ourselves biological, right? And if you cut one of us open and everything, we see biological masses. But in reality, we're just computer processors and all that good stuff. It was a crazy little Netflix series. It was a movie, and humans created these robots that looked a lot like us, and then the robots thought they were the humans, and they basically kicked all the humans off the planet. And so the humans, left, and then at some point, the robots, hundreds of years later, the robots realized they weren't human, that they were robots. It was like an eye-opening thing, like, it was pretty wild, but like they were showing examples of like one robot had to have surgery for some wound, and he's looking at his intestines, right? And it looks like our intestines, but then they're showing it in the sense of, but then they show it like, no, it's just electrical wiring, right? It was like, whoa, wild. And we don't actually eat or anything. It's all we think we are, but we're not. That's why oil is so valuable, is because it's actually the water we drink. We just don't know it. It's just really, really sick. Because we gotta stay lubricated. Otherwise we'd be like the Tin Man. There's a lot of ways to look at the world. I really do enjoy more of the chaotic artwork with a 360 camera, because when you do the little tiny planet, or you're walking past people, or you have some of these morphed angles, it reminds me so much of some of the artwork in the world, of where these crazy geniuses were painting possibly like reality. It's really trippy when I see it, and it's like they were capturing things, but then it makes you wonder, it's like, well, the Bible says you can live forever. So if you live forever, wouldn't that make you a fucking robot? Didn't that make you a robot? So it's like you're re-inhabiting another body, and you got to maintain your memories. And so you're in a time where technology didn't exist, like a 360 camera to do weird angles and everything to make things look funky. And it's like, yeah, this person's walking this way on the screen, that person walks this way on the screen. It's like you can have your hand reaching over here and it appears over there within space. It's super weird. It's a lot of fun. Probably too much for your brain. But yeah, the whole Bible is probably a Turing test. And we just haven't figured that out yet. Well, I think we should be using it as a Turing test, at least. We should be, especially with AI and robots, man. I just don't understand how we're going to have robots here soon. And we haven't discussed the fundamentals of how are you going to control these things in the event of a criminal use, right? It's like, you have robots and people are like, okay, cool. I'm going to have my robot go rob the bank, right? It's like, Patrick. I mean, it sounds fun. And then who's responsible? If the robot just decides it wanted to help you, what if you didn't even tell it to go rob a bank? You're like, fuck, we're so strapped for cash right now, and it just decides to go rob a bank. Like, are you responsible for that? Like, why would I be in trouble because the robot wanted to go do a good act and it knows the money don't mean shit and it just goes and steals it? What if it hacks into an infrastructure and transfers funds, right? Like, we haven't even really, like, yeah, we have AI and it's locked down pretty tight right now, but it's not always going to be locked down like this, right? You can buy AI modules, and you can buy your own AI computing machine, and then you can build your own LLM, and yeah, it gets ugly pretty quick. Are anybody doing this? I don't think anybody's really doing this. But it doesn't mean they won't do it. It's not going to take very long for greed to kick in when this becomes a little bit more basic and accessible. I would say basic and accessible. Yeah. Anyways, just things in my head. I'm like, I don't know how you really prevent it besides giving officers like EMP guns. Then you start getting into Star Wars. Then you gotta wonder, like, it's funny because in Star Wars you got stormtroopers that wear these stupid ass suits and they still die with one shot of a laser. So they don't even deflect the laser. It's like, what the fuck is the point of the suit? Nobody else wears suits except stormtroopers, and the suits are basically just plastic, which makes it very strange. Like, think about that. Come on. It's starting to get too warm for you. Want to get back, have breakfast? No! Jeez Louise. Little cocky pug. Spreading his scent. Goodness, nope, keep going. Dickhead. Goodness. Morning. Fucking dog, man. Trying to think of what other stories in the Bible could be example of Turing tests. Yeah, Moses freeing the people, freeing the slaves from the Pharaoh, right? And then the ocean spreading so they can walk across it. Sounds a bit AI-ish. Just saying. Beehive right here chilling. I just like, oh, there's honey in there. Where's Pooh Bear? By the way, I'm filming this in June, and I have a backlog of content all the way through July for the shorts. I don't really care about the long format videos too much. I mean, I think they're fun to watch. You get the whole story. I want you to come back around and watch the whole story, but really it's just the short form videos I'm making it for. I want to try and keep them under 30 minutes, but it's going to be hard with these long ass walks with this guy, because I think we're coming up on 40. Yeah, we're at 40 minutes, and it's like, god damn, that's time. And it's like, I don't have anything more to talk about, so what do? Just shut the fucker off? So I either need to focus on the content, and the walks kind of feel a little weak, just walking around the same shitty block. But it's about to be summer, so it's not like there's a lot to do. I mean, there's to do, but you know, it's like, well, we want to go chill at the beach. Car comes back today. Should have that returned about 10. Yeah, so, and then it gets rented out on Thursday. You know, right? I'm pretty sure. And it's like, and I gotta go to Palm Desert that day, so I got a really tight schedule for Thursday. I got fucking double booked, and I have to wait for Dr. Cantor for his 2D shoot. It's already been like a month on this thing. I really just want to post his virtual experience, just get it dialed in so we can do it. And it's like, let's schedule the Zoom call so we can do it. It's like, goodness gracious, man, this isn't supposed to be this intricate. Like, it's like, here you go. Do you want to do some more? Do you not? Might add some morning. I really don't like that they ripped off the face of it just to look so bland. Like, the house just doesn't look architecturally sound with no shapes to it on the front. Very strange. Alright, well, I'm going to end this because I ain't got nothing else to talk about. Why don't you guys think about the Bible being a Turing test, and maybe